waiting to find out if we have technical difficulties.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Difficulty.
I feel like we're waiting for Rudolph's nose to go.
We might have to bring that back for Christmas.
Don't let me leave with.
All right, calling to order the July 21st, 2026 meeting of the Long Lake City Council. Good evening. It is 6:30 p.m. All council members are present this evening with the exception of Councilmember Feldman, who is absent with prior notice. Item number 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item 3 is mayor's comments, Long Lake News, meeting review, and updates. First of all, the City Council just finished a work session, just an hour-long work session where our only topic was introduction to civil engineering firm. We gave direction to staff regarding a firm that we received a presentation from. Besides that, it's just been warm in Long Lake and elsewhere, obviously, last couple weeks. Hope everybody's surviving the heat okay. No major events have taken place over the last couple of weeks since we last met. I think there was another beach closure today. These seem to happen on the Tuesday of council meetings is for whatever reason. So thanks to staff for getting that out, but that's unfortunate. I'm sure the warm weather plays into that. Coming up though, this Saturday is Buckhorn Days, the annual Buckhorn Days event sponsored by the Long Lake Area Chamber of Commerce and in partnership with the Orono Lions. So Nelson Lakeside Park from noon to 10 p.m. A lot of great events going on there throughout the day. Weather looks pretty good from last time I looked. So encourage everybody to come out for that great event and to have a good time at Buckhorn Days. Okay, move on to item 4 though, which is to approve this evening's agenda. I'll entertain a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second that.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 5, open correspondence. Open correspondence is an item on the agenda in which the public may address the City Council. No formal action is taken by the City Council, and comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less. And open correspondence comments may also be emailed to city staff by noon on the date of the meeting. Anyone wish to approach for open correspondence? Yes, come on up. Please state your name and address and speak into the microphone.
My name is Gretchen Cashmore. I live at 303 Lakeview Avenue. I actually am here to speak about not having curbs and gutters put on our road. We just want it paved. We have a very small, very quaint, tiny neighborhood. I don't really see the need for them. The ditch in front of my house is like this. It's hard. I'm 65. I don't need to be mowing it anymore. But I was trying to weigh the pros and cons between how much it's going to cost us as homeowners. Do you have an exact number for that, or?
No, we're really too soon to, and this project may not occur till next year at this stage. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, the main focus from what I get talking to the neighbors is we just want it repaved. It has not been paved for 30-some years. I mean, that's ridiculously long. Again, the cost to the homeowners to have this done, I've heard rumors of having a sidewalk put in, you know, all that things that we're kind of a quaint little neighborhood. And that's kind of the way we want to stay with it. You know, we have kids and everything else, and I think if we widen the road too much, we're going to have a lot of more traffic. We have some young kids, of course, everybody was young here before, that are a little heavy on the foot. Speed bumps and repaving would make my life wonderful. But I just, without knowing the exact cost, it would be passed on to the homeowners. I know in some cities they have programs if you're and we do have an older neighborhood, and a lot of the people that live there are 65 or older, that you can defer your payments till later. I don't know if that's an option in the city of Long Lake, but that's something to think about too. So, but
Yeah,
I'm kind of on the side with the curb, not with the curbs and gutters on a sidewalk. I just, for the size of our neighborhood, I just don't think it's called for.
I don't think we were ever talking about a sidewalk there. That was on the ground, yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
heard
sure.
that.
That was
That the sidewalks were gonna-
misinformation, yeah.
Yeah, I would rather see, like, no semi-traffic go through. My neighbor's corner is just disintegrating every time a truck goes by. Even the snow plows, they cut it close, they cut the corner very tight. Are we gonna be responsible for all the repair of the curbs and gutters on that corner as they accumulate? Because they will. So, just, that's all I really had to say.
all right, well, thank you, Gretchen,
You're
for
welcome.
speaking this evening.
Yeah, been living in Long Lake my whole life. Don't
That's
plan on
fantastic.
going anywhere for a while.
Good, good, that's great. All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right.
Shirt. All right, what's with the shirt?
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, Brian Miller, 295 Lakeview Avenue, and I think it's, Gretchen, I mentioned last meeting, is a generations-old Long Lake resident. And it's funny that she should mention that the northwest quadrant of Central Avenue and Lakeview Avenue, because I just wanted to point something out to the new city staff, city administrator and stuff. Back when they were building the stacks, there's a lot of heavy machinery that came down Brown Road, and they made their U-turn to be Central Avenue, then Lakeview, over to Orchard, and back over. And I'm talking huge machinery, really long trailers, giant backhoes on them, stuff like that. So I actually took some pictures and stuff, and I reported it twice to the previous city administrator that this was going on. And like Gretchen stated, that corner has been crushed, that northwest corner there, by this heavy machinery that's been going through. And what's ironic is there used to be a weight load limit sign on Central Avenue as you enter Central Avenue off of Brown. I don't remember what the weight restriction was, but that sign is gone. I don't know exactly when it disappeared, but
Well, those are typically
somebody removed
seasonal.
it so that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Stacks construction
seasonal.
could go ahead and drive down there or what, but, so,
Well, we usually do seasonal low limit signs on all city streets in the spring, but I don't, if there was
Seen
one there
year-round
year-round,
ones.
we're not familiar with it.
oh, well, 27 years I've been here, there's
Yeah,
been a sign, and it's not jammed into the ground, so maybe it is seasonal,
yeah,
and it would have sandbags on it, or whatever.
yeah. That was the
Stuff like
4
that.
tons per axle
So-
sign, yep.
So it was ironic, though, that that sign was missing, and we had all
Hmm.
that traffic. So if you ever do a walking visit, site visit of Lakeview Avenue and stuff, and come down and meet the residents and stuff like that, that's something we'd like to point out. And that's all I got.
All right, thanks, Brian.
Question, just for council and the mayor, as I'm new to this. When we have construction projects that go on and there is damage to public streets and all that, where's the responsibility of that fall? And maybe if it's not even public, but I'll use my own example, like new construction in my neighborhood with streets and gutters with all the equipment, how does that work?
Yours in particular is a private street, so it's a different situation because you're a private driveway. So we actually collected a cash escrow
Okay.
to be sure, and I actually went out myself and took some site photos. I ran into you that
Yeah,
morning.
yeah.
Yep, that's why I was out taking pictures, is to document the condition of the private drive before it happened. Now, if I were the previous city administrator and had gotten a call that those local streets were being used for U-turns, I would have probably immediately gotten some no-through construction traffic signs up there promptly. I don't know if that ever occurred or not. And, we would have followed up with the developer at that time. So
But I guess to follow on Mr. Miller's comments, I mean, if something was, if it was a public project and there was damage elsewhere, does that fall on the construction fee, or, I just don't, I'm just unaware of how that gets paid.
I think a lot of times too, when some of these larger projects are in development, Jeanette's working very hard to make sure she puts parameters in in some of the building, in any of their building permits. Jeanette has usually like an attachment of a lot of things because she is trying to think of, okay, I don't want it to affect this, I don't want it to affect this, I don't want to, and then, like she said, and then as a city, if we are going to call that we are noticing that traffic is not staying in a certain area, then we're trying to address it. For example, that is why on a project that is being done near your home, Jeanette and I talked very closely with the attorney on what mechanisms we had to anticipate possible issues. Now, in some situations, there's nothing we can do. I've worked
After
with
the fact is
MnDOT.
hard.
I've worked with MnDOT. There was a neighbor that recently wanted to put a pool in and block off a part of the road. And so I work with MnDOT. And we try to come up, we're trying to think worst case scenario. And so, yes, like she said, and I actually think that both attendees in this know me very well. And so if they call me, then they know that we're going to work on it to try to figure out and start getting signs up right away. And as soon as those signs are up, if it's in a situation we didn't think about, that gives us a mechanism for police. But until, if we don't even know that they're going to be going, I'm looking at the map, why they would have went down that far, I don't know, because there was a pretty open area, but.
And how do you assess the damage? I mean, was there physical damage too, like maybe?
Well, and after the
Who
fact.
did
After the fact, yeah.
After the fact,
who
that's
did
hard
it,
to
who
do.
caused it? I
right.
mean, there's a lot of issues.
Yeah, that's
on
what
that.
Jeanette said. She went out and started taking photos. If we know a project's gonna be done in an area, there may be situations where we start taking photos right away, looking at things right away to see precondition versus post-condition. So
Yeah.
it's just trying to be proactive in some of these things, and
And withhold some.
yes, and follow up with
Yeah.
the residents, keeping a good relationship so that when they do call.
Like a private drive was an example of a situation where you would be able to hold an escrow now a public street if that were occurring. Well, quite frankly, the moment we got a report about it, we would be making two calls. One is get some signs out there, and the second is stop that.
I guess, well, like, let's use an example.
But as far as recourse, it would depend on the situation and how it was documented and what we saw while it was happening. You have to, so that we have evidence-based, this is why we need to address this, and this is not going to be our responsibility. You will be involved.
One of the ones I was thinking of was, and John's mentioned it before, of Wayzata and Old Crystal Bay, where you come out of the high school and turn the project. That turn gutter, whatever it is, that's got a short life expectancy.
Right,
So
right.
when that thing disintegrates, whose finger, where do we get pointed? Is that our responsibility as a city?
Well, that's Orno.
That's Orno.
Right.
Or let's use that
Right,
as an example.
right.
but if it was
Yes, it would.
Right.
Yeah, it would be part of our
here, Part of the
repair.
cities? Okay.
Because when they're doing these engineering projects up front, those are things that hopefully that they're taking into consideration. Or putting up proper signs to avoid.
All right, back to open correspondence. Anybody else for open correspondence? Nothing submitted?
Nothing,
All right.
thank you.
Okay, move on to 6, consent agenda, items A through C in the consent agenda. Any questions for staff regarding those items? If not,
So TIF 1 through 9, what's that? Is that the stacks? I'm just so curious.
I'm sorry.
TIF, oh.
Yes, I
Okay.
apologize. No, TIF 1 through 9, yes, that we receive a payment twice a year from Hennepin County with our property taxes, and then I work with Ellers to determine amount that we issue to the bank for the stacks.
Okay, so I was just curious.
No problem.
I figured.
all right, anything else? Otherwise, I entertain a motion on approving the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second that.
All right, thank you. Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 7 then, regular business, starting with 7A, Shoreline Fire Department 2027 operating budget and capital improvement plan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item I have pulled from the consent agenda to give council the opportunity to ask questions because this is our first shoreline fire operating budget and capital plan that is being approved by council. So tonight in front of you, you have the 2027 Shoreline Department operating budget as well as the 2027 capital improvement plan. For the past several months, the operating committee has been working together to create this plan with the fire chief, the assistant fire chief, the fiscal agent, and then both representatives from the city of Long Lake and the city of Orono. On July 8th, 2026, this budget was presented to the Shoreline Fire Department Board and was approved at that meeting. In summary, the city of Long Lake's contribution to the 2027 Shoreline Fire Department will be 14.285%. I felt it was important to add the addition because when I was checking the numbers out, adding up for me, and so I did think it was important if you're looking at any details to have the full percentage. This results in an operating contribution of $194,938 for the city of Long Lake. This is a 9.0% increase over 20. Our capital expenditure contribution would be $70,567. However, please keep in mind that $50,000 of it is paid by Orono for 2027 and the remaining 4 years. So the city's total cash contribution will be $215,505. That is not how I say it. $215,000. So tonight I'm asking council if you have any questions for me about the Shoreline Fire Department budget specifically or the capital improvement plan. One note I would like to make, included in your packet today, is the fire facility capital improvement plan. This is for information only and needs to be approved by either by both cities if a repair were to be completed. Because if you'll recall, the facility is owned 50% City of Long Lake and Station 1 is owned 50% City of Long Lake and 50% City of Orono. So as repairs come up, we would be approving those separately. That is not included in today's approval.
And we did just, before it turned over to Shoreline, we had new HVAC
That is-
units put in. So we kind of addressed some of the big ticket items that we envisioned for the near future at least, right?
Correct. According to a facilities report that we have looked at as an operating committee, I think the next large ticket item that our city will be responsible for will be the roof.
Okay. One item that caught my eye, I was curious about, was like the salary, full-time employees' salaries are decreasing by like 14%, and then the part-time are increasing by 43%. Any insight as to why that is? Like-
Yes, I believe that this is when the original 2026 budget was created, I believe it included a full-time
Fire marshal. Which we did not hire.
We did not hire. And so
yeah.
I believe that position, it may be going down to a part-time position now.
Yes.
And the change in part-time employees from paid on call is going to be your duty crew. And I believe that fire marshal is now included as a
Correct.
part-time employee.
Okay, part-time fire marshal.
Correct.
Okay.
So were there more part-time employees? Because it got an increase of 80s.
This was when the 2026 budget was developed. They weren't sure exactly the duty crew hours that we were going to be utilizing, nor how many of those shifts would be full. And we're kind of very year to date for this. The 288 was a better estimation with the inclusion of the fire marshal.
Okay. All right.
And we've got more calls to date than we've had before.
Good point. Yes.
And I believe when paid-on-call guys are serving in duty crew slots, does that come out of that bucket? They get paid at that level, right? They get paid the part-time.
I don't believe that does come out of that level. I believe because it goes as, I don't understand because I don't do the payroll anymore. I just approve it. I don't see how the hours come in. I do believe though they're still considered a paid on-call employee.
Right, they are.
But so I think
so
though
it
that
wouldn't
that's
come
the
out of that
increase
bucket.
in the paid on-call
Okay.
employees.
Well, then that increase is largely due to the.
To the fire marshal.
Fire marshal is going to be part-time, and then the increased calls.
Correct, the increased calls,
the
yes.
part-time guys,
And at the time, when we did the 2026 budget, we weren't even quite sure of what hours we would have duty crew, but
Correct, yeah, they're serving,
there was a lot of guessing.
they're, I don't know when the start time is, but it ends at 8 PM. I think it's 7 AM.
7 a.m. to
8 PM.
Correct.
There are a lot more calls.
There are, and actually, I think that the trend is going to continue the way that we're seeing it. And just in the last couple days, the calls have been very high.
You know, you went with between 4 to 600 to almost 1,500.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm receiving, I do receive the alerts on my phone, and it is a variety of calls, everything from medical, small fire, some mutual aid. It's just a vast variety of calls. I believe over 4th of July weekend, I believe they had 7.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So, and 3 of them were water related. So, yes, they've been working very hard,
Yeah.
and many over in the middle of the night as well. So I can say that having it on
That's-
my phone.
That's just the sum of all the calls, by the way, I believe that.
Oh,
Over
okay.
over the last 3 years. as
Thanks,
opposed
thanks
to-
for
but-
clarifying, 'cause I
I
thought that
I was like, wait a minute.
I apologize. No,
That's a big jump.
that is a big jump.
Right, right,
it's
right.
still it is. Still,
We haven't gotten 2026 yet.
Yes,
No.
it is still.
But where are we at? Do you think for 2026, are we like 300 or so or beyond? Did you say-
Correct. It's above 300,
Okay.
and there is going to be a new. They're rolling out a new system that will allow us to track calls even better, and I'm very excited for us to start really utilizing that. So that will show calls. There's graphs that show calls by type, calls by location, and so forth. So I have been working with the fire chief and the assistant fire chief. They will be presenting to council in the next couple months. So
Great. Okay. And as far as capital, vehicle capital, anything noteworthy there? There have been some big purchases or?
vehicle capital improvement plan was a little interesting. If you recall, Judd Axelson is a Long Lake resident, and he is on the operating board with me. One thing that him and I were very concerned about is making sure that we didn't go in the negative in the out years. However, there are a few areas of the vehicles that could change when we look at this same chart next year. If you recall, we had that grant to look at shared fire services. One area that grant pointed out was the opportunity to share the ladder truck with Wyzetta, ladder truck with Wyzetta, and figure out a contract with that. So that might be an opportunity for us to develop, and then that would save us money in the future. We're also looking at trying to share reserve vehicles and so forth. So
They've sold some vehicles and gotten more than they thought they'd get for that.
correct.
So that's good.
And I believe there's one more, if not 2 more, that they're looking to sell. We just have to look at which to do. So
Yeah, and if I could just add, so the capital.
please.
Yeah, the capital improvement plan is going to be an evolving document. I mean, because at first I thought, when I first saw it, I thought, really, I know that we were in a bad place before, but I kind of felt like, maybe we were kind of going a little bit too hard to get to the desired goal because it was going to be a big increase. But after we talked about it, like for example, they ordered an engine just recently, right? And then there's plan to order another engine in next year. And I
believe so.
And I thought, man, we're stacking up engines when we've got, now granted, some of them are older, but we've got, I don't remember how many engines we have, but like 3 or 4 or something like that. So, but it's going to work itself out as we go. And we want to have, obviously good equipment for the firefighters. So I felt more comfortable after we discussed it a little bit. But at first, I thought, we're kind of coming in pretty, fast on the spending here. But I get it. It needs to be done. And so it's like a little bit like ripping the Band-Aid off now and then have a good plan, going forward so that, so that everybody, all the firefighters have what they need.
More gradual instead of all at once.
Yeah.
One other thing that I think is important to mention is, unlike the city of Long Lake, when the fire department, when our capital here was going in the negative in 2030, 2032, or, one of the first drafts that we had looked at, there isn't a cash fund like with the city. So if you recall, when the city of Long Lake purchased our fire vehicle and we had that fund go into the negative, until we could recoup it with future years, there's not that ability in the fire department. There is no other checking account. This is their checking account. And so we want to make sure that, like John was saying, that this is a moving document, but also that we do have the funds in the account to cover the purchases as they're needed. Because we can plan the best we can, but we still, there isn't, that would have to come out of our city's fund.
Right, but I guess I was getting at too, when I say evolving document, I mean, I don't remember what the time was for an engine, for example, or the life of an engine. I mean, there's sort of the NFPA standard, but, most fire departments don't necessarily meet that in every area, right? So let's just pick a number, let's say it's 7 years. If you tweak the schedule a little bit and go 8 years here, maybe you can stay out of the red, for example.
Right.
And so that's the kind of thing that the operating committee is going to be continuing to work with the firefighters on to find the right schedule for replacement. But
So 190,000 for engine?
no, that's one payment.
That's a,
Aside,
Yeah.
What?
setting it aside, an engine.
Oh,
Each
okay.
year, well in excess of $1 million.
that might be a lease payment, actually.
For
So the city of Orono,
Oh yeah, that's the
They
one that was
leased,
just
yes.
that they just recently
correct.
purchased / leased.
Oh,
So
okay.
that lease payment then is what is going to hit the.
Correct.
And so, wow, that's a large lease payment. So the engine must have been very expensive.
Yeah, it's over $1 million.
Yeah.
$1 million? Oh, okay.
And then the line down below, the order, the Navarre,
That seems more reasonable.
engine will run 1.3.
Yeah, that's the one that we would order
In 20,
in next year.
I don't know
and
if
then get
that
in
one was the one
2029.
that we ordered in 2026. I apologize. There was one that you mentioned that we did order because there is a 3-year lag from
Oh, that's where that comes in.
the time that we receive it.
Oh, that's the one that has been ordered?
I believe that is the one. Because we don't
Well,
have.
there was a plan to order another one.
What's the backup engine for this year? 90?
Which road is that on? Oh, down.
I believe that's
So-
also a lease
So
payment.
we have the engine that's in the Navarre station that we bought in 2017. That one we would hang on to. And then the Excelsior engine that we bought, a few years ago, that would probably get sold. And then I think there's another engine that would get sold once the new ones
I
come in.
believe it is this backup engine that was just mentioned because Judd had mentioned when we were trying to decide which engine to sell, we also have to take out the liability. It might be more profitable to sell that one right now, but if we have a liability of 4 years left on a lease, we
Yeah.
have to consider that.
Right,
So,
there's an engine that's still being paid
Yes.
that we might sell.
I believe
in order
that was
to
a backup engine
recoup the most value out of it.
correct. And so we're weighing that.
Yeah, so those are the kinds of things they're figuring out, so.
Okay. So the lease, the lease for the engine that costs 190,000, how come it says current year 45? I'm just curious.
I think it was a partial year.
Oh, okay. I was just trying to make sense of the numbers.
Sure. That's,
So when they start up and rebranding, was that like some legal fees, all the legal fees for starting up?
No, a lot of it was the rewrapping the vehicles and the
Oh.
uniforms.
Okay.
And I don't, yes.
Okay, any other?
I was gonna point out, too, that if you look at page, hang on a second. 32, it shows, the allocations. And if you
Yeah.
recall, we're changing the formula, as was negotiated to use a model that, as an example, the League of Minnesota Cities used in an example that they had where it's 1/3 call volume, 1/3 market value, and 1/3 population. You can see on the weight factors on the left side of that. Where before it was 70%
Market value? or
market,
Taxable market value, or?
was it 70% market value and then 30% call volume? There wasn't a population
Right.
factor in there. Anyway, this was something that was negotiated, and you can see what our percentage is of 14.28%. So our percentage went up a little bit. Well, also now Medina is not part of the equation, so.
Correct.
Because before, I think, we were closer to 10%, and Medina was 5%, and then Orono was 85%. And so Orono stayed close to the same, and then ours went up, as you can see there.
And then Minnetonka Beach, of course, isn't factored into this
Right.
allocation. They pay a
Because
different.
they're a contract city.
Yeah, so that's revenue to the operational budget,
Yes,
right?
it's in the operating budget,
Yeah.
correct.
So Medina is totally west suburban?
They are West Suburban at this time, yes.
Has there been any conversations with Medina since this? that you're aware of?
I don't believe so. I could easily reach out to the city administrator over there.
Because,
I have a very good relationship.
now that we're settled in, because when I talked to them, at one time, they thought maybe they would consider being a contract city, but not a JPA member. And I just think about, the Morningside neighborhood and just how close that is, to us and far for them. And you would think that they might be interested in having that coverage. So I think even if they were a contract city, that would be
That was
benefit.
another area that I believe was mentioned a little bit in the cost-sharing plan, was whether it be a contract city or a paid mutual aid type situation, as a first response type, that we would be charged when we do get
Yeah,
paid
right.
type thing.
Yeah.
There are definitely a couple different options, so.
All right, anything else? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the Shoreline Fire Department operating budget and capital improvement plan for 2027.
I can second the motion.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Going forward in the future, will both cities always approve the budget, or
Yeah.
will that fall on the board?
Well, the board approves it, but, first,
Both cities
but then the
have-
cities have to approve it to get paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to see what that cadence was, like, I
Yeah,
remember that.
so we approved it at our last fire board meeting.
Looks like it was a lot of work went into this.
There was.
Yeah. A lot of details, that's great. Of course, a lot of the capital stuff's guesstimates, how much things are gonna cost in 4, 5, 6 years, but there's no other way to do that, unfortunately. Okay, motion and a second made. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you, City Administrator Noecki. What else we got here with 7?
Yes, the next item that I am bringing to council is our second quarter 2026 revenue and expenditure report. Some quarters I put this on consent, but today I decided, with expenses ranging a little bit higher than the 50%, I wanted an opportunity for council to ask questions if they had any. I will say that, as I mentioned, expenses are coming in a little bit higher than the 50% for this time of year. On the report, I did outline some of those reasons. One of them is I have entered all annual expenses by this point, such as insurance, bond payments, depreciation. Those have all been entered. And so those do affect the percentages in some of the funds more than others. Other things is in Public Works, we tend to see an increase in costs over the summer. We ended up having to remove 91 dead ash trees from just parks and trails in city right of way. If you recall, when city council originally approved the tree removal, we were concerned that we would start removing trees on private property. Well, I can state today that that has not even been an issue. We are quite a bit over budget on our tree removal this year by $35,000 in parks and trails, and that is because 91 of them were necessary to remove, because we were noticing from last year to this year the spread, and we felt that it was important. It was important to try to eliminate the problem and suffer the cost versus have it spread even worse for next year. Another item that has affected the budget this year was extensive repairs to our public works fleet. It was brought to our attention that we had not done our DOT inspections for a few years. And so bringing those current and the repairs that were affiliated with that, and then as well as some other large engine repairs and such, have caused our public works fleet to be over budget this year. One other area that I did not anticipate in the budget, but will be anticipating in the 2027 budget, is I did not plan on paying property insurance for Fire Station 1. Didn't think about it as a separate insurance that I would need to purchase. So that was, it was unbudgeted.
And do we split that with Orno,
We
or?
each have to have our own
Oh, really?
insurance, yes. So it wasn't an
Not one
extremely.
insurance policy?
Yeah.
I think because we're each owners, it was weird. Yeah, my insurance has to cover ours. It wasn't a very large expense. It was $6,000, but
Do you know what they pay for their?
I don't.
I mean, that doesn't really make sense to me, because it doesn't seem
Isn't it both?
efficient. I mean, we're probably, the sum of those two is probably more than what it should cost to insure that building.
I agree, and actually, it's an item that I'd made a note of to talk to our insurance this year to make sure that we're covering.
Because you have multiple owners of residential homes, and they don't need separate insurance policies. I mean, it just.
Right.
that's
So I
a
can
common
look at,
thing.
and it's possible
Back to
that
the
knowing the
property, not to the owner.
situation, it's possible that they just quoted us based on a percentage of the building, but it was nevertheless, it was an budgeted item. And then water usage in our enterprise funds has decreased 5% compared to last year. So with water usage going down, our revenue goes down, and therefore so does our sewer revenue. But I'm thinking that could change a little bit in the next few months now that we're in summer.
It's
So
drying out again, yeah.
correct.
What
And then-
made our sanitary sewer fund go up so much from last year?
In cost?
Well, no, in fund balance. I'm back on
No, you're fine.
the first page.
Oh, on the first page. Yeah,
It's double what it was, more than double what it was
Yeah.
last year.
I would need to look specifically at that. I do know that the engineers, we did a transfer out of the TIF 16 fund
Oh, to do the sewer lining.
to do the sewer lining.
Yeah, got it.
And I believe some of that was put into their. Otherwise, I think, if you recall, we only recently implemented that Metropolitan Council sewer treatment fee. And that was $400,000.
Really?
Wow, revenue. So, that was
Corresponding with our bill.
very, that was very high, so.
You know, it wasn't that long ago where I think that was about 100,000 or something. You know, maybe it was a while ago. Maybe it was 10 years ago or something. But
Yeah.
It was that we phased it. If you recall, at first, when I first introduced it, it was a $10 charge.
no. I'm saying what the Met Council fee is.
It was.
Yes.
It was 10. A few years ago, it was $10 flat fee, and then.
No, I'm saying what we pay.
Oh.
The check we cut to them.
Yes.
I thought it was
Oh.
like closer to 100,000.
No.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about
Yes.
10 years ago or
Yes,
something.
it
but-
probably was, because
I
it's,
can remember that when it was more than the,
it more
I just
than,
remember
just
one,
shy
I
of
remember
twos.
one in front of it, not a 4.
yeah, it more
I
than
do too.
doubled. If you recall, it more than doubled 2 years in a row.
Wow.
So,
This is crazy.
Sprung a leak.
Boy, the pavement management fund has a lot of money in it.
Yeah, it was impressed by that.
one thing when you're looking at the fund allocations, please also keep in mind, and this is probably part of the increase in the 602 fund. I did a disbursement this year for capital. I don't believe anything went to the sewer fund, but some of the pavement management did get a disbursement out of capital. So you'll see that fund 401 had a major decrease because I redispersed that money into other capital funds in accordance with the.
Okay.
And
That
the
makes
capital fund is what we used to call the turnback,
We called it a lot of things.
but that was the turnback fund, I think.
It was, yes. However, I wanted to try to have that, so what I use that capital fund for now, I try to keep it close to approximately 1 year of operating expenses. And it can be a true rainy day fund. The rest of this is supposed to be more in line with our capital improvement plan. So that is where that disbursement happened.
And we're still earning interest rates on these, like 5% or something?
We are. I just did a transfer, an interest transfer this week for the first 4 months, and it was very good. I can't think off the top of my head what it was, but I can get
Oh,
the
that's all
answer.
right. That's right. And I kind of know the range.
We're around averaging around 3 to 4%. And one other thing I wanted to let council know, if you recall, I mentioned to council a few months ago I started working with Mid Country to find a way to better get interest for the money that we had in our checking account. And at that time, she recommended I change our savings to a different savings account. So we were getting around 0.02%, and now we're getting 2.5%. So for our city that only receives money twice a year, I just did a $500,000 transfer into savings out of our checking. So it's still liquid, and it's actually it can be used as a overdraft if something were to happen. I still keep a good amount in our checking, but I did a transfer into savings so we can start utilizing that 2.5% on the money that we keep on hand. So the $68,000 was transferred for the first 4 months.
Nice.
First 5 months, I apologize. $68,000 of interest we earned in investments.
Great.
So
Regarding the ash tree removal, what's in store for the last half of this year? Do we have more to do, or are we getting? Obviously,
I would like,
it's never ending.
I've asked staff to, let's just take a minute on spending and look at necessities only. We're gonna have the doors here at City Hall replaced, and hopefully the next weeks. There are a few more public works projects done this year, and so I don't think we're gonna be doing any more ash trees
And we have-
unless necessary.
Yeah, residents have we getting calls lately? Is that kind of did that help that we removed quite a few as far as complaints we were getting from residents on the right of ways?
A lot of ours were done. I don't even know if as many residents noticed the sheer quantity, because so many of them were done on Parks and Trails. Right-of-ways were a very small portion. I should mention that we did receive, Sean did a reimbursement for CAM funds, if you guys remember CAM funds. And we did a reimbursement for the right-of-way trees.
When they do the trees, they grind the stumps too?
Some of them, yes. If for some reason they are done they're a danger on a private property in right-of-way, we will not grind the stump. That's not, we alleviate the danger by removing the tree. It would be the property owner's responsibility to handle the stump. But in all these ones, we had to do the stump because they were on city property.
All right, any other questions for staff on this item?
Why do you do a one-time transfer to the pavement management of 110,000?
That was in the budget.
Yeah, but you don't split it between first half, second half, you just do one?
I don't. I do it middle of the year, just so I don't forget to, I just do it in the middle of the year. And honestly, just to live a little bit frugal this time of year, so that it doesn't, so when I send the budget to department heads, that they don't think that they have a lot more money to spend than they do.
And then what, and then seal coating is another 30,000 that you
Same thing.
transfer. But we don't often spend that.
No, and so that's why we moved that into a fund itself. If you recall, a couple years ago, it was always in the budget as a line item. And the problem we were running into was, I believe it was 60,000 a year we were seeing added into the budget every year. Well, so if we didn't do a project, that money goes away essentially, just stays in the general fund. And then at the next year, if we were going to do a seal coating project, we'd have to stick within that 60. Where this, because we know that we have so many seal coating street projects coming up, I wanted to start coming up with a funding mechanism to just set that money aside and earmark it, knowing that, okay, then this is what we need for future seal coating projects.
We spent some of it.
Yes, he did.
I just thought that would have been part of the pavement management fund, because I see different levels of pavement management, one being seal coating, one being mill and overlay, and one being, full recon, but.
Seal coating was created, seal coating was created just for that. At one point,
Yeah.
I might end up merging them together. I just think that for a while, we were not fiscally responsible with our street savings.
We might have to look at that too, because the way the pavement management fund was created was as a direct correlation
Franchise.
to the franchise fees, and the franchise fees were established for pavement management plan projects.
Correct, yes, so
Which
that money
seal
has, true.
coating
Maintenance.
is more maintenance than it is pavement management plan projects. Your PMP projects are more of your recons, your mills and overlays.
Yeah. Yeah, we just have to make sure we don't forget about seal coating, I would say, just to maintain
Right.
the roads we have replaced. Like Watertown, was replaced 8-9 years ago, but it, we probably could use a seal coating just to make it last longer, as one example. All right. Well, unless there's any other questions, I'll make a motion to approve the second quarter, let's see, page 2026 revenues and expenditures as of June 30th, 2026, as presented.
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you again, Amanda. And now on to another topic, 7C, authorize staff to advertise for a full-time Public Works lead maintenance worker position.
Yes, so today we forth a proposal to reestablish our Public Works lead maintenance worker position. If you position was created a few years ago when our longtime employee Luke Lockenman, thank you, Lockinen, was employed. At that time, we thought that it was important to recognize his senior level employment, and we developed this position. After much consideration and the vacancy that we recently had in Public Works for a Public Works Maintenance Worker 1, we decided that it was a good time to bring in a maintenance worker. This person would help Sean oversee staff, report directly to Sean, but also this would give another person an opportunity to train from Sean on areas of the city. We're recommending that this person be hourly, which is a change from the original position, because that would allow the lead position to be paid for his on-call time and any overtime. He wouldn't be salary, therefore could assist on the on-call schedule. It is our hope that this person would be a good transition from our staff, and help them train and learn areas of the cities, areas of water sewer, and areas of basic public worker position, as well as, like I said, from Sean, assist him in areas that he needs to be a better director and free up some of his time. I have talked to Sean, and he's extremely supportive of this. So today I'm asking council to amend, again, the 2026 salary pay plan to reestablish the maintenance worker lead maintenance position, to approve the position description, and to authorize staff to advertise and solicit for this position. Does council have any questions for me?
Any questions? And this would be most like an external candidate. We don't have any, do we have any internal candidates who would be eligible to apply? Or?
We do not.
We do not. Currently, we have one maintenance worker, who on tonight's consent agenda just finished his 6-month probation and he continues on probation to fulfill his 1 year and then hopefully test for the water and sewer licensures. And then we have a maintenance worker, which is also, he is not qualified for this level.
And so what step would we be considering?
It would,
I know that's a separate issue, but.
it would be dependent. I'm going to be honest. It will be dependent on the candidates that we receive. If getting the right candidate means that we would need to offer in a mid-step range, I would be open to that. I have looked at this year's budget, and I feel that this salary range can still be manageable for 2026, and I have included it then in the 2027 planning. So depending on who the right candidate is, it would leave us some flexibility.
Can I just ask a question between
Please.
the exempt and the non-exempt? Would
Correct.
people be more willing to apply if it was non-exempt?
I don't believe so, because
Or, because like the.
yeah, I believe with non-exempt, yes, because right now with having such a small staff, there is a lot of on-call responsibility. And so right now, if Sean were to work an on-call shift, which we try to deter him from doing, but he gets vacation time instead of, we cannot pay him additional salary when he works on call. So he gets rewarded an additional vacation. That's not always as beneficial. Some people want to be paid overtime so on call, they get a stipend of 7 hours per shift week that they're on call. And then this person would also receive overtime if they were to have to come in the middle of the night and such. And I think sometimes when there's salary,
They resent it.
it can get to the position that if you have other employees that are getting overtime, that it
Yeah.
can unbalance things a little bit, so.
Okay,
I think another importance too of hiring for a lead maintenance worker is, right now, we really do only have one individual with the water sewer licensure and background and experience in case we have an emergency. Now, what if he has an emergency and we have an emergency at the same time? So
backup's good.
Yes, backup, not just backup, but support too. Like when we were dealing with some well-related issues recently, it would have been really wonderful to be able to have two people with that level of experience so they could each be focusing on a respective well or working together to, make the most out of their education and experience and maybe even be able to get repairs done in less time. You never know, but I think, yeah, we don't want to be in a situation where he has an emergency and we have an emergency. And I think it's important we make sure we have someone with experience on board. Do our darndest to try.
So I can make a motion, but I have to get to
Great.
the,
Page 52.
motion to amend the 2026 salary pay plan to reestablish a salary range for the Public Works lead maintenance worker position, and to approve the updated description for the position dated July 16, 2026, and to authorize staff to advertise and solicit applications for the position.
Second that.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, final item, under regular business, 7D, approve city council meeting schedule changes and establish Long Lake Canvassing Board meeting. City Clerk Muller.
Thank you, Mayor. As you may see, we have some equipment testing going on in the room. State primary day is coming fast and furious. We'll be here before you know it. And as I'm looking ahead, I'm already looking to the general election, and as council may recall, we are unable to have public meetings to do business on the same night as an election. Historically, what we've done, given the schedule in November, and the fact that we also need the council to meet as the canvassing board to canvass the city's election results between 3 and 10 days post-election date. So what we've historically done is bumped the meetings all down a Tuesday to allow for us to be meeting as a canvassing board to canvass within the required window, and also address our obligation to move our meeting date. So with that, we are recommending that the council meetings previously scheduled for November 3rd and November 17th be rescheduled to November 10th and November 24th, and also that a meeting of the canvassing board be scheduled for Tuesday, November 10th at 6:15 p.m.
Okay. Seems to make sense. Any discussion, any major obstacles for that night, or those 2 nights for council members?
One thing I do want to mention is we do always do this, and yes, that second meeting always falls in the week before, Thanksgiving there. If we find that the agenda looks pretty light for that, we might consider canceling that meeting altogether if we don't have much in the way of agenda business that couldn't wait. Alternatively, if we find that that time might be better spent in a dedicated budget work session only, maybe prior to, final levy review and presentation, that might also be an opportunity. So just want to put it on the radar that we might reserve the right to change that a little bit at a later date, or cancel if the business is light.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to schedule a meeting of the Long Lake Canvassing Board for Tuesday, November 10th, 2026, beginning at 6:15, and to schedule the Tuesday, November 3rd and Tuesday, November 17th, 2026 City Council meetings to be held on Tuesday, November 10th and Tuesday, November 24th, beginning at 6:30 p.m.
All right, I'll second that. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jeanette, for bringing that to us. Okay, with that, we'll move on to other business. Item 8, starting with Councilmember Newcomer.
Nothing, no.
All is well?
Well,
Good.
well.
Good. All right, Councilmember Dybek.
Nothing. I just attended a fire relief association meeting yesterday with Amanda. I was filling in for Mike Feldman since he was out. So I don't know if you were going to talk at all about that, but they're talking about the bringing to the board, a proposal for an increase to their annual payout, which they've done with the city here before, but now they would go to the board to do that. So nothing noteworthy other than I just want to say I was there, and it was my first time, so
Thanks
Yeah.
for being there.
it was interesting.
Any proposals from them to reduce the number of years until they're fully vested? by
Well, there
chance?
was talk about that too, but I think first they're gonna do and have an audit done so that they can, you know, they're kind of using that 110% guideline, like has been established over the years, even though they said it's not really in an agreement or an official contract or anything. But that's, you know, that's what it's been. And they were at 121% now, they said. So, which means they can raise the payout some. So they're going to put that together and then I guess do that, have that audit done. And, yeah, and then there was talk about changing the vestment period possibly, but I don't think they're ready to do that just yet. So right now it's 60% at 10 years and then 100% at 20 years. And there was some to talk about having a reduced, like 40% at 5 years. But I think that's for a future discussion.
Sure. Okay. Great.
That's all I have.
All right. I know we have a meeting set up with the the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District next Thursday. Councilmember Dybek and I and staff to meet
Yeah.
with them.
So what time is that? That
4.
Oh, okay.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for
I think you
changing
have an
that.
invite, so.
Yeah, I just didn't check that on my way here, so.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. Buckhorn Day is coming up this weekend. Maybe you can expound on that when we get to you if you have anything to add. And I just wanted to mention I know the city of Maple Plain had a pretty significant water outage, a week or two ago, and I read about that. And I know they did an after-action report, and I just like to ask, staff to maybe just, if you haven't already, just follow up and just make sure that those things, the things that kind of went wrong in that scenario don't go wrong here, as far as the communication failures and that kind of thing.
Jeanette was on it.
Or
She was
technical. Fantastic. All right, thank you. Nobody wants a warm summer day or anything like that, so it's unfortunate that happened to them. So thank you for that. I figured you're on top of it. And that is it for me. Councilmember Qualley.
Yep, I can echo Buckhorn Days.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. And I would just say, driving through town, the flowers and the baskets and everything looks really, really nice.
Yeah.
Just wanted to compliment. And what was the other thing?
Are you going to be wrestling at Buckhorn Days?
No, but I could use some help with the bouncy houses.
Oh, next time I get the
It's always a
person
favorite.
again.
Well, for another day. I can't remember what else I was going to say.
Okay.
Yes,
Administrator.
Jeanette and I will be at Buckhorn Days this year. We have a table,
Oh,
so we're very
wow.
excited. We're trying to show face to the community and be more present at some of these events. So Jeanette and I
Thank you.
we talked, and so
Are you going to be handing out some swag?
we are. I'm very excited to get rid of some of the swag. Stay tuned. I also want to thank Public Works and Jeanette for getting the 250-year flags up so quickly. It wasn't on my radar, and it should have been. I didn't even think about doing it, and so
Yeah, it all looks great.
John had mentioned it, and yeah.
Oh, they went up? Sorry, I didn't notice.
No, that's okay. Look on it on your way home.
Okay.
They are
Yeah,
up
I didn't notice either.
They're
When
up.
did they go up?
last week.
Last week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well,
You're
thanks-
sneaky.
Thanks for doing that.
Yes, and so we chose a flag. The options weren't, there weren't a ton, but we made sure that we chose a flag that could stay up for the remainder of the summer, so they look good. We're pretty excited.
The banner company did mention that a lot of folks are planning to just leave theirs up through Veterans Day this year, given the America theme. So they're simple, they're straightforward, and there were ones we could get
Yeah.
expedited and without additional cost for the expedition. So, yeah, we were excited to receive them as quickly as we did. And,
Thanks, Jeanette.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
credit to a certain someone for the idea, for bringing it up to us.
I just thought,
No,
No?
it was
Councilmember Dybek.
Okay.
And you didn't notice them?
well, no, but I know they've been working on getting them, but, 250 is a
sneaky.
big
see from his
birthday, so.
house.
It was,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so we were excited.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Actually, I saw it, and I drove through another city, I can't remember where, but.
Yes.
And I said, hey, these look kind of cool, what if we did that? So,
So we weren't able to get the same ones, but I'm satisfied with the ones we had. So.
Yeah.
All right, Jeanette, what do you got for us tonight?
Lots of work ongoing behind the scenes on the unfortunately necessary upgrade to the agendas and meetings management software that we use. But that's going to go actually very quickly now, I think. So it's going to include, much to my surprise, so it'll change the public-facing portal on our website for how our meetings are presented. It won't affect availability of anything. Originally, I was told they'd only be migrating over 3 of our meeting types, and they said, well, we saw you had 4, we'll take care of it for you. So that was lovely, that they're doing that without proposing additional fees. But it looks like they're also establishing a board portal, and they mentioned that if board members use it, it sounds like you might actually be able to look at your e-packet and make notes somehow. So anyway, more on that to come if it does prove to look and appear like something useful. I would, probably offer training on it and see what that looks like. But I think your first packets on the new meetings and management solution will be the first meeting in September. Otherwise, candidate filing update. The candidate filing period is still open. We have 1 filing for mayor and 1 file for council member, and there are 2 seats available. So for names of who's filed, check our website, longlakemn.gov. And still 1 seat to file for council. It's a wide open race. We do not want a write-in candidate like Bart Simpson to win, so please, let's hope we see someone else before the filing period ends.
It'd be fun.
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So I hadn't thought about that. I was asked that question earlier today. If there were only 1 actual candidate, would the highest write-in candidate?
I do think that is a likely possibility,
Oh, really?
yes. And I have in the back of my head a list of names that
Might
come
give-
up when that happens to be aware of, so.
Minnetonka Beach, I had lunch with them today, and they said Mickey Mouse tends to be written in a lot.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
so they're having the same.
I don't think he lives in the city, so I don't know how that would work.
Maybe he does under a different name.
Qualified.
What's funny is almost every cycle too, I see write-ins for Marty Schneider and Tim Holtman. So, and so things to be aware of. But yeah, candidate filing period still
Well,
open.
they would have
if-
to accept that, not,
yes,
if they
exactly.
wanted to.
No.
Exactly.
So
Which honestly, if we had no one there, I mean,
Well,
we
then
might
we
have
would
to beg.
appoint, but then we would appoint, right?
Actually, you'd probably need to try to go through a special election because you have
somebody
a
that,
term that needs to be filled.
So talk to your friends and neighbors.
Talk to your friends and neighbors,
right,
yes. If anyone's interested in filing,
The
have them,
filing date, end date is
I believe it's the
Like
28th,
from today?
or sorry, Tuesday, the
I
20,
thought it was a Tuesday, but yeah.
yeah,
27th,
yeah.
is next Tuesday.
I can't remember. I don't have it on me.
Okay,
so
but
Jeanette, were you going to mention something about,
Kelly says it's the 28th. That was what I said the
8th is
first time.
next Tuesday, I'm
so
sorry.
mention something about Excel, like how they kind of got back to you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, thank you for that.
Yes. Thanks to those folks who submitted permissions for us to encourage Excel to check out their outage histories. It turns out that they did have an area engineer look at the outage histories, and they were noteworthy. And Excel responded that over the next couple months, they do have some repairs in mind, some environmental stuff, your tree trimming, but also kind of segregating areas so that they're not all on the same, for lack of the
Feeder.
correct terminology, a node or whatever, so that it isn't always 900 households getting blown out of the water every time there's an outage. So they do have they've replied back with a list of improvements, and we hope that's going to happen. And just glad we were able to point to something a little bit more concrete in a target area and get it on their radar as well. So,
yeah, I was impressed with the response and be impressed if they follow through with all that, which I'm assuming they will. And yeah, so thanks for your work on that. I knew something was wrong, seemed wrong about all that.
I think maybe just even asking the question perhaps helped them pinpoint it, because it seemed to be clear that, there was one certain target area that it really was
Right.
coming down to, so.
You got first place when you don't want to get first place on the
No,
number of
no.
outages. Right.
I'd like to work on something to put out, to the community, but I am also kind of waiting to hear back from Excel a little bit on that before I do that. I'd hate to put something out there and then, have it not come to fruition. So that would be my greatest fear is, if I put out news that says this is going to happen and this is going to happen and it's all going to happen in the next few months, I wouldn't, want us to be in a position where we look like we've provided misinformation because it didn't come to fruition. So I'm a little needing to make sure Excel's commitment will have more of a timeline involved, I think, before I'm ready to put something out there.
Well, you've done your due diligence.
Yeah, right, right.
And thank you to those who participated and took the time to send those emails, because it really did help.
Yeah, terrific. Okay, last call, anything else? All right, so our next meeting is, we have a lot of activity going on the week of August 3rd. Starting with by invitation only shoreline fire pinning ceremony on Monday, the 3rd. And then night to night, that's right, night to night on Tuesday, August 4th. Contact city staff to be added to a visit. I think I'm sure you'll put out a reminder email before then. Do we have still just have one official as far as you know, or?
I do not know. All the applications are going to Wayzata PD. They have the
That's
form
right.
on their website. I did reach out to one particular group that typically has done one, and they said, "Oh, thanks for calling that to our attention. We'll go ahead and sign up for that." So hopefully, I kind of did another round of publication and tried to do it in a pretty graphic. So,
Yeah, it's a great graphic, yeah. It's nice.
so we'll see if that got a little more attention to it.
Was there
Okay.
something else that week too on,
And yeah, I mean, a council.
no, but I mean, even besides that?
We have the pinning ceremony,
Yeah,
night to night,
yeah.
and I think we scheduled something last night.
We did schedule something last night and,
I don't remember what that was. I'll think about
Fire
it.
department related?
yeah,
It was.
So by invitation, so I saw,
I have to think about it.
we've got
Jeanette's handling the quorum notice. If council,
Yeah, quorum notice.
we have been given some misinformation. According to the meeting yesterday, you are planning on attending to RSVP.
okay.
So I was told specifically not to RSVP, and then yesterday they're like, "Well, no, it'd be nice to RSVP." So I think go ahead and RSVP. We'll play it safe. And for that pinning ceremony, as I mentioned, apparently 6 o'clock will be time for the firefighters, and then 6:30 elected officials and staff is invited.
Okay.
So what's the deadline to RSVP? Or I can take that offline.
Corn days.
Corn Days,
Corn
yes,
Days.
that's,
No, Corn Days is a week after that.
No,
Oh,
it's-
that's what's
it's
also
August
that
8th.
week.
Yeah.
Gotcha,
Oh.
yes. Corn Days is that
Corn
Saturday.
Days is, yeah, August 8th.
Saturday,
Yes.
8th, yeah.
It will be a very busy
And, oh,
week.
because we have to talk about, like, what are we gonna do,
For the float.
Well,
our board, that's two members from each
Oh.
city. Do we have them on the
Studebaker.
Studebaker,
Good point.
or does Long Lake still want to have sort of, or do we have, two different ones that, so,
I think the first question would, as council, who was planning on attending and walking the parade?
Yeah, why not?
I think, yeah. August-
You're stuck
August
either way,
8th. You
whatever
said
you
August
Yeah, maybe
8th, right?
Yes, that's Saturday.
board can talk about it, or the operating committee can figure out like best
I
option.
do meet with
and-
them. I have an operating committee meeting tomorrow. So I was planning on actually talking individually to a few members today to find out what your preference is, but this is a good time of any. So if council was planning on being at the parade, tell me. if they weren't, then it's a null and void issue. Move forward.
Yeah, well, I think the fire board needs to be there.
I agree.
Together.
And I do
But
think
I
the
don't, I just don't
Studebaker's
know
a
like
nice
what the
idea.
mechanism is, what, you know, how they're together, what they're riding on or walking up next to. And then the council members, you know, could also then be, you know, doing something. And then Orno could choose to have their
Correct.
council members in it too, if they choose. But I think the fire board has to be represented as a unit.
As a board, I agree.
As long as you bring candy, I think.
Oh, yeah, there's a big budget for candy, let me
There's a
tell you.
big budget for candy.
Pop some hay bales in the back of a public works truck and call
Yeah,
it the
that's
Long
an
Lake City
option too, is
Council.
Public
Yeah.
Works truck if we want to.
That's a good idea.
They get the fire engine, we get the dump truck. Is that what-
Sorry. You know what? I'm just gonna say,
I
I think
was
it might
think-
have more fun in the dump truck.
Yeah,
I was thinking walking it, so this is actually a step up.
Do you,
Yeah.
it's a long way to carry that banner.
I was in parades. I've done my parade time.
Well, we would always walk it anyway. I mean,
Correct.
or always,
Yep.
yeah.
I think I
Which we
got to
could
ride
do,
in the
yeah.
Studebaker one time.
And staff might be
Yeah.
willing to go with council to show our
Yeah, that'd be
support.
great, right.
So.
Truck, so yeah, we'll take your guidance on that and whatever you guys.
I can bring it up tomorrow. We have an operating meeting,
Okay.
so I can talk to them and try to get some feedback from their board members and to see. And then we can, as a city, I believe the Studebaker is our property. We will offer
Yeah,
that
so maybe,
as.
I mean, the city could continue to do that.
No, I think
And
I
and we
actually
have a
like.
banner for it too, and then the board can have a different truck or
A
whatever.
fire
to-
truck with the Shoreline logo.
It's
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
It's up. We can have the board decide. We'll let them have first dibs.
Or maybe Mandy and I can carry the banner on a stick for you guys and the walkers can follow.
I mean, well, that banner said, just.
Council.
Long Lake City
Yeah.
Council.
So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having that continue, and then the fire board be on something.
I can check with the board because I mean, if it might be kind of fun that if you guys are on the Studebaker, so it's up to you. I can check with them and then I'll
Question
get
on
back.
the old Studebaker, does it say Long Lake Fire Department on the side?
Yeah, but that's a historical thing, you know? We don't
True.
have to erase our history, I mean.
Yeah, and we do. That is a good point. So I'll find out. I'll bring that up if they'd like to. If the board. would
Oh,
like
you're
to.
saying putting the board on something that says Long Lake Fire, yeah, okay, now I get it.
Yes,
I'm thinking
I
that-
knew what he
more
meant.
So
appropriate to
I would
Shoreline.
think the board should be on
council.
something that says Shoreline Fire, obviously. And then, but that's what I was saying, we could still have the Studebaker in the
Yeah,
parade
yeah, yeah.
as a, you know.
That could be Long Lake.
Yeah, that's
Right.
Or if not to give the fire image, we could do the truck.
Public Works truck,
Yeah.
that's another option, so, yeah, whatever. Guys,
With the-
figure it out and let us know what you
On it.
think.
I gotta know.
All right, so that's gonna be a busy week and weekend with Corn Day, it's our Corn Day, singular.
The council got moved to Wednesday, right?
Correct.
It did.
Yep. All right, I'll ask all for anything else. All right, if there's no objection, I'll adjourn the meeting by general consent. Hearing none, meeting is adjourned at 7:47 PM.